Hello everybody, welcome to another video here on the channel. Today is March 6th, 2024. I took 3 trades today, and unfortunately I lost every single one. And I'm going to go over the reason why, but all the trades that I did take, they were good setups. It's just price did not react to them well. So yeah, first let me go into my bias for the morning. So this was, okay, so today was Wednesday. So we were right here, and as you can see on Tuesday, we had this massive sell-off, right? And we worked our way higher. And then at this time, I wanted to see us get into this 1 hour fair value gap in the morning. So it was like around right here when I was looking at the charts. We did. And then I could not trade because I had a doctor's appointment, but I did get back. And right when I got back, I took a trade because I found a good setup. So this morning we ran up to this 1 hour fair value gap, and we also tapped OTE of this range. Okay, so that's 2 signs that we are bullish. And then we had, we also had, as you know, these SMTs, right? We were very bearish, and then I think, I want to see, was there SMTs up here? I don't remember. I don't think it was an SMT, but it could have been. So right here, actually, yeah, it was. So right here, oh wait, no, we didn't. Never mind. We did later in the day though. But I wanted to see a sell-off, and we did see that. So looking at here, after we tapped into this, we sold off, and then I wanted to see us tap into this 15-minute to sell off even further to take out these lows, because 1, we tapped OTE, and 2, we tapped this 1 hour for value gap, and then we sold off. So that's showing us that we want to go lower. Then we had a retrace, and I took my first entry when we tapped at the bottom of this 15-minute for value gap, and we just kept running higher. And then I took my second entry on this 5-minute for value gap, and this 5-minute for value gap, I believe, also aligned with the breaker. Let me check. It aligned pretty close to this breaker, and I did draw this out. But what happened is I think I waited for the rejection of this breaker. Yeah, so this is what happened. So we got a sell off, and we respected this breaker, and we sold off here, and I put my entry in on this candle close. And so I was pretty confident on this, right? We tapped in this 15-minute, this breaker, and we were pretty bearish. But then we just ran up. And we also created this SMT while we were in this trade, and I was thinking for sure, creating SMT in 15-minute for value gap, tapped breaker, rejected off of OTE, we're for sure going to go lower. And then we just got a pump up. Okay? And then after that pump up, we got a smaller pump down, and we had this SMT. So I was thinking, okay, well, let me try to take another short, because this is probably just to manipulate these traders. Took another short, and it went well a little bit. I took it on this displacement down, and it went well pretty good, but then it came right back up, and I got stopped out. And then third trade, we consolidated a bit, and this trade I was sort of making a mistake, because I feel like I was kind of focusing on winning a trade. I was focusing on sort of making my losses back, but right here we had this, I had this marked out before the move happened, and then because I wanted to see this low get displaced through. I was only going to take a short if this low was to get displaced through. And right here, this definitely is a displacement move. We went down here, and we kept displacing after we went down here. We actually went all the way down here. So then we retraced back up, and I took my entry off of this breaker right here. And once again, just like previously, we just ran straight up, and I got stopped. So that is pretty unfortunate. After this, I was just deciding, okay, I'm going to be done with the day, because, you know, structure, it's not playing out good. And usually news days, it does play out good, but just today, either that or I didn't recognize it. I mean, another thing that could have happened is this 15-minute could have been inversed. And so after this 15-minute could have been inversed, we could have had this power 3. And at the time, I was thinking this was possible, But looking at the bigger structure, I was kind of feeling that we were more bearish. So I was taking bearish trades, but honestly, I should have just seen the reaction first. But I think something I'm going to do next time I ever see something like this is I'm going to wait for multiple entries. So right here, this is a 1 minute, right? I was looking at the 15-second. This is a 1 minute. We go back up. I should first see the rejection off of this to show that we are creating a short model. Okay, and then I should look to see a massive sell-off and then a pullback and then take that pullback and then we go lower, right? I shouldn't take it on the first entry, especially if there's two different draws of liquidity. So right here, if we look at this 15-minute, you can probably visually see a good sort of, I mean, let me just go to here. Wait, that's not even the right spot. Okay, this 15-minute, you know, we came up, broke through it, and then we retapped it again as an inverse. And then we targeted higher. And on that inverse move, we also created this power of three. We have right here accumulation and then manipulation, manipulating out these traders, and then distribution. So I tried to take this market structure shift, but it did not work out well, and I got stopped. And then we ran all the way up to here, and we did not take up this high. So here was the high. We did not take it, but I was expecting us to take it. So I was going to take a trade, but I didn't because we were going to probably take this. And if you actually look here on ES, I think we formed. Did we form SMT? I'm not sure. Let me look. Yeah, we did. So as you can see right here, this high was taken out on NQ, or sorry, on ES. And then on NQ, this high was not taken. So after that happened, this massive sell-off, we had this sell-off, a retrace, and then we sold off more. Even though we had this sell-off, I was not looking to trade because I didn't want to make any more losses. I did not want to overtrade, right? But this would have been a really good trade to take, and I really wish I would have taken it. So this is something I was looking at the time, and I was going to set limits here on ES, or I was going to set them on NQ. What am I talking about? On NQ right here, I was going to set them on this breaker because if you ever notice, if we ever create a big fair value gap and you're kind of like, oh, I don't want to put my entry right here and put my stop up here, usually the breaker is going to play out. So here's the breaker. We also had another miniature one right here that could have worked, but I just was too worried about taking it, so I didn't. But if I did, it would have worked out beautifully. So I think going into, I think a lesson learned from today is that, especially from these two losses, is that I should wait for the rejection, right? Something I was doing was something sort of like this, and it's a bad habit that needs to be fixed, and a lot of traders do this. A lot of professional traders do this too, and it's just you just got to constantly remind yourself not to make this mistake. So basically, let's say, you know, you have, I don't want this, hold on. All right, let's say you have a move, and let's say you want to take a short position, okay? So, get something like this. All right, I'm just going to draw this out. So let's say you're looking for shorts, okay? So we see, it doesn't really matter what kind of PD array, but let's just see, we see this sort of PD array right here. I'm just gonna name it the 5 minute fair value gap. I'll do 1 minute. Okay. So let's say you see a fair value gap. And then something I was doing today was I was taking my entry, I would be taking it when we enter it, putting my stop at the candle high or the swing high, targeting whatever liquidity downwards. what happens is we run through it, right? We just run through it. And I would put a second entry somewhere up here to try to get it more into premium, right? So that it would average my trade like this, and it would be less of a loss, okay? So instead of adding my full position here, I would scale into a position, and I'd add more when we're right here. But instead, what I got to get back into the habit to, and I had a much better win rate when I did this, is that I should wait for the rejection of the PD array first. Either I should wait for the low to be taken. So here's a low right here, and this would be sell side. Either wait for this low to be taken, that's option 1, and then after the low is taken, I can get it back on a retrace or back on the breaker, or we get something like this, and then we create a low, and then that low is broken just like this, and then I could take it on the retrace to then go lower, right? To then go lower. So that would be a much better idea. You know, this is a lot better because you could take the trade something like this. Maybe you could take it first where, oh, you see the rejection, you know this fair value gap's being respected. When you take the entry right here, it's more of you predicting that this is going to work, right? And predicting is a lot less probable than actually seeing the reaction. So it's best to see the reaction first, see that we want to go lower, and then take your first entry off of this pullback. Then you can target this high, or maybe target a little higher. And even though it would still maybe be the same amount of risk, right? Let's say this risk right here, it's like this risk could be the same as entering right here and then having your stop a little bit higher than this high to manipulate. Or like the reason why this is better is because you already have that ignition move down. Okay, maybe your TP is not going to be as further down, but your win rate's going to be higher because it's a more higher probable setup, right? You're wanting to look for a higher probable setup, not a higher point move. And that's kind of what I was messing up with. So then you could put your second entry on the retrace to this PD array, and then it would average out, and then you can move your stop. So let's say this averaged out, and then I'd move my stop to the top of here. I'd be my full size right here, and it'd be a lot higher win rate, okay? And then most likely we'd sell off. So that is something that I do want to do. That is something I used to do, and I had a lot better win rate, and I've kind of been stopping doing that, but I want to start doing that again. So, for example, if I were to wait for the rejection here, okay, I would be like, oh, I wouldn't get my entry, right? The only entry I'd probably take would be off of this breaker. But if I took it off this breaker, and let's say I put my stop at like this high, right above this fair value gap, this candle high, I would probably not get stopped out until here. But most likely, if we get this displacement down, I would have trimmed, and then I would have got stopped for less. It would have just been a better trade, a more high probable. Even though it failed, it would have been higher probable, right? Or, you know, let's just say we looked at this trade right here. Instead of seeing this, I could wait till I see displacement down. Now, right here, I don't know if I would trade this, because if you're looking at, let's say, the 3-minute right here, this fair value gap technically, wait, where's this at? What am I doing? Why did it take me so far away? Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's just go back to the 1 minute. So yeah, this fair value gap really did not get held, right? We kind of were closing above it and staying above it. And we had relative equal highs that wanted to get hunted. So I probably would not take a short here. And yeah, again, right here, it was just kind of like me forcing a trade. But we did have displacement down. I thought it was going to work, but it didn't. And again, right here, I should have waited for the reaction off of this breaker, because if I wouldn't have, then I would have seen that I would have got stopped. If I would have just waited for the reaction to validate the setup, then that would have been a lot better. So I do want to do that now. And what is better? And this is the thing. What is better? Is it better to miss an entry and you being like, oh, dang, well, there's two things that can either happen. This is a good lesson to know. You could either, right, let's say we're in this thing again. Okay. Let's say there's a PD array right here. Here's the first scenario. You could either wait for it to hit this PD array. All right, let's say this happens. Okay. Let's say hit the PD array. Now the setup's validated. So after this happens, you're looking for an internal structure, right? You're looking for a retrace to make a second entry, right? Out of the model, this is your first entry, this, which you're not going to take the first entry. It's just called first entry because it's the first, like, it's the first theoretical entry, right? The first entry that is possible. But then you're waiting for the second entry that's possible, which would be in the internal model. But if you don't get up to the internal model, let's just say you didn't, okay? You would miss out on the trade, okay? You would see it sell off without you, and it's happened to me so many times. But what's worse, that happening or you setting your limits here and the trade just absolutely going right through it and hitting your TP, right? And then you're just going to be like, what the heck? I should have waited for the rejection. So it's either you miss a trade, you miss out on making a bunch of money, or you lose money. And I think the reason why, like, especially me and a lot of other people are messing up is because it's a psychology, right? You see so many times repetitively that you miss out on a trade because you wanted to wait for the rejection, but whenever you waited for the rejection, you never got back to a pull. You never got a pullback. You just got an instant sell-off, right? Right when it hits the PD array too. It's literally gonna be like right when it hits the PD array. It's like okay, there's two options here. I put a short position here. Okay, if I take it on the PD array, this is what's gonna happen. This is realistic what will happen. Boom, I'll get stopped out. If I don't take it on the PD array, boom, right? It's either the one of the two. And that is just kind of the probabilities in life, right? That's just unlucky. That's what happens. That's most likely what's going to happen. And you just have to prepare yourself for that, right? Some people are lucky and some people will never have that problem. They'll just always be able to tap into something, or just whenever they choose. Maybe they'll choose one day, oh, I'm going to hit it off this PD array, or another day I'm going to wait for the rejection. You know, it could be that, or maybe you just know, like people just with a lot of experience know when it's going to react right whenever the PD array, right whenever it taps PD array. So I do think over the next couple weeks, I do want to study, and I really want to kind of make sure, I want to find out, like, how am I going to know if it's going to run through it, right? If it's going to run through it, or if it's going to reject off, or if I should take it right off the PD array or off the rejection. And it's kind of just market conditions. So I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to wait for the rejection and probably miss out on a lot of trades, but I'm also going to study and see when I should take it right off the PD array, when I shouldn't, right? So it isn't always important, like while you're trading, to always be sort of thinking about, you know, sort of getting more comfortable with knowing more. Like, I don't know how to explain this. Like, even though you've been trading for a while, you should always still be trying to learn new stuff, because there are better strategies that are being, you know, discovered and taught all the time. But now going into my prediction for the afternoon, or for tomorrow, we have this SMT. If we go to the 1 hour here, something we could probably see in the overnight session is, let me go to this 1 hour too. Let me look at something. I would say we're either going to just go up to, I'm going to say this 1 hour for value gap is a good place to look at. we got this 1 hour. We have this SMT retrace back to the 1 hour. That could be something we want to see. We also have, if we do OTE here, if we don't go any lower, if we look at this range, hold on, let's look at this actual full range. Yeah, if we look at this full range right here, this fair value gap is an OTE, so that would be good. Or if we look at this smaller range, this would be above discount as well. Right, so we may tap into this 1 hour and then see a sell-off. That's what I'm hoping to see. But yeah, so I think that's all I have for this charting session. I'm going to be bearish tomorrow. Something that's really nice is that we got this displacement down. We got the pullback. We also did pull back to this 1 hour fair value gap right here, and we did respect it. We never closed above it. So yeah, that could be something we may see. Hopefully we go down, take these relative equal lows. That is a really good target that we may want to head to. But yeah, that's all I have for this charting session. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next one.